Life tends to follow a series of patterns, and as you grow older, you notice more of those patterns and create rules out of them that seem to be consistent across a variety of different categories. I'm 28 now, and there's a lot of patterns I didn't notice when I was 20 that if I had noticed, probably would have helped me a little bit. So let's go over 4 of them, not 3, not 5, like people usually do to title these videos. Let's do 4. Nice even number. The first one is that the quality of your life usually depends on the quality of the questions you are able to ask. So I've been doing YouTube for almost 8 years now, and majority of that time was spent in the self-improvement niche. A lot of people saw me as someone to look towards, to ask questions about life. And the majority of the questions that I got asked from people, because they're very young and they just don't really possess this ability as good as people usually do when they get older, were very basic, not very complex, not very deep questions. They were, how do I stop being depressed? How do I make more friends? Why am I lonely? Another one I saw recently, I think, was like, how do I stop needing validation from others? They're good questions to be asking yourself, especially at a young age, but the surface level of them, the superficiality of them, I guess they're not really superficial, but they're just very surface level questions. And due to that, surface level questions are going to get surface level answers. So if you asked me, how do I stop being depressed? I would say, okay, well, you just need to figure out things in your life that make you feel like you have more freedom, that you do on your own and that no one else tells you to do. And pick a few hobbies to do on a weekly, monthly basis that you genuinely enjoy the process of doing, and you will probably be less depressed and also find some community. But that answer, well, it applies to just about everybody. It is the broadest answer to the broadest question. If you were to instead focus more on how do I get deeper into this question? So think of like a family tree. At the top of the family tree, let's imagine the question, why am I depressed? And then we're going to draw 2 branches under it. And one of the branches could be, what is something I do in my daily routine that if I started to pick it apart and notice how I was feeling while I was doing it more, makes me feel like life is less worth living on a daily basis? That is a deeper question than why am I depressed? That will get to more of the root cause of the problem. It's like deepening our roots, and that's how we can think of the family tree, as these little strands of roots. And the deeper that we go down these roots, the deeper answer you're going to get to your questions that are paralyzing you, that are making life feel harder than it needs to be. You identify the actual problems that lead to depression, because depression is almost always a symptom of a deeper cause. And most of your problems in life that you notice are symptoms of a deeper cause that you can get to with better quality questions. This skill of asking better questions is going to be imperative in the future, I think, for work as well, which is why it's even more important to develop as an ability. Because with AI on the rise, people who know how to write great prompts with AI and know how to ask the AI the right questions will succeed and find themselves further along in their careers than the people who keep just asking AI these surface level questions or write these very surface level prompts. Because AI can usually give the answer to a lot of most things if you're able to ask it the right question that goes deeper into its neural network, I guess. It makes it search for deeper, more nuanced, complex, detailed issues. So quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. If you want to improve this, a lot of reading and writing is what I've done. I know you probably want to know how to improve this. I've gone over this. Just start with that family tree example. Ask yourself the most surface level question and then make branches under each question and write a deeper question under each deeper question. So it's basically like deepening those roots that we talked about. Second rule of life I've realized that would have saved me a lot of pain in my 20s is that people function on emotions first, then logic second. I am going to be tackling this in really good depth in my upcoming critical thinking course, which is something I've been working on for about a year now, and I'm so excited to put that out because I think critical thinking is such an important skill that a lot of people are lacking, that the internet is exacerbating to a great extent and causing a lot of this polarization and disconnection and lack of trust that we are seeing. And people functioning on emotions first and logic second was something I actually learned a couple years ago when I first read The Body Keeps the Score. Amazing book about trauma, how it develops in the body, but it also goes over how our brain processes information. So anytime we get some external stimuli, so let's say our friend saying something to us or a piece of media, it first passes through what is called the thalamus in the brain. This is what you can consider the control hub of the brain. It's a relay station. It determines what information looks like, and it filters it to go to a certain place. And once it's past the thalamus, it goes to the amygdala. The amygdala, it's a very important part of the brain. This is our brain's part that is responsible for processing emotions. Now, if the amygdala interprets the information that is passed into it as a threat, it's going to trigger your fight or flight response. Your nervous system is going to respond. It's going to say you are in danger, and you're going to be in a very survival-like state. You're going to be very emotional, and therefore what you do is going to be about survival, ego, and protecting yourself or your closest ones. Now, what the internet, what social media incentivizes people to do is to be in an emotional state and to comment in an emotional state, make content in an emotional state without logically thinking about what they're about to say or being calm enough to maybe think, okay, maybe I shouldn't comment this right now. Maybe I shouldn't be making this sort of thing right now. Because it's just what we're usually promoted on social media. Like the amount of content we see that is just emotion inducing, that is trying to get you to be mad or angry or just trigger your fight or flight response, is so much greater than that content which calms you that we get presented with. Because social media algorithms, they usually don't give us that type of content unless you're really locked into curating your algorithm. Now, here's what I left out about the amygdala. If the amygdala does not perceive the information as a threat, it then passes it to your higher level brain, the prefrontal cortex, the thing that is responsible for emotional regulation. If you can get the information there, then you're not going to be so fucking high strung and say something you wish you didn't say to your friend or your partner, or buy that thing that you just really emotionally charged you, and now you're regretting it like 15, 20 minutes later or a day later. It takes more effort and more time for information to get up here. And that's why, a lot of people act before calming themselves down. So one of the most powerful things you can do is learning how to regulate your nervous system, learning how to relax. It's why I promote meditation so much, because it's been shown to improve your gray matter in your prefrontal cortex and help you emotionally regulate, so that once you start getting triggered or emotional and your brain and your body wants to put you in a fight or flight, you can take a step back, take a patient pause, and think to yourself, am I really in a rational state right now? And if you're not, if you can deduce that, then take the time to take a deep breath before you do that thing that you're so emotionally charged to do, and just calm down and let your prefrontal cortex activate before you decide to act. One of my favorite experiences on the internet is when someone comments something maybe a little nasty. It's got some really negative undertones to it, and I can tell they commented that when their amygdala was charged up. and they were not happy. It was right after they saw my content. And I take a second to really just empathize with them and say, okay, they're probably really angry right now. They saw the content. They didn't allow themselves the space to really think about what they said. Let me try to stabilize the situation by coming from a point of understanding. And I say to them, hey, that's actually, a pretty good point, something along the lines of that. Or I'll just say, can you expand upon that? And I'd love to learn more so I can understand your perspective better. When you come at things like that with an open mind, suddenly the walls break down and they're so much more receptive to what you said in the video. And they themselves usually say, and they realize like, oh, sorry, I just said that when I was really angry. I can show you examples of this. Someone made a whole reaction video to my video where I was talking about gender identity. And I just commented something really nice, said, hey, I was really hoping a video like this would spawn so it could better strengthen my arguments and my understanding of gender identity. And they responded to that comment and they were like, oh, I had no idea you were actually going to respond to this. I actually really enjoyed your other video and I was just really angry because Trump had just gotten elected, something like that. You see what happens when you guide the conversation or someone's emotions to a more regulated state? Then you start to come to a mutual point of understanding. And that's why critical thinking is one of the most powerful skills ever. And understanding that people function on emotions first and logic second will get you to sympathize with more people, to connect with more people, and to build a more nuanced, objective view of the world. This next one ties in deeply to the last one. I wrote down, you can only see something insofar as your beliefs and biases allow you to see it. You will interpret most things in the way that fits your story of the world, how it's framed, and how that subject impacts you. So we're going to use my YouTube channel again as an example. I'm starting to realize more and more that how I frame and package a video, aka the title and thumbnail of that YouTube video, really impacts how someone's going to internalize the content and view the content. No matter how nuanced I try to be, some people are going to be so heavily influenced by the fact that the title and the thumbnail is polarizing that they won't be able to discern the nuance within the video. So, example with this past video I just put out, which I titled The Loneliness Epidemic Myth. It makes it sound like I think the loneliness epidemic is a myth. I don't think that. I think a lot of people are struggling with loneliness and isolation right now, probably more than ever before, even though the argument that the title seems to be putting out is the whole thing's a myth. And I have to play with the YouTube algorithm like that to some extent. Unfortunately, it is clickbaity, but that's the name of the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, you can hate me a little bit too if you want to. And so I'll have a lot of people in my comments saying stuff like, you're missing the nuance, or I can't believe you think this bullshit about capitalism not being a problem, and you're not understanding the situation properly. And they say in their comments exactly what I was trying to argue in the video. But they couldn't see that, despite me trying to communicate my ideas. And maybe this is partly a problem with me, not being able to communicate my ideas the best all the time. But they saw the title and thumbnail, and then they saw the content. And based on the title and thumbnail, or their beliefs and biases about what they expected from the video, they interpreted what I said as, this guy thinks capitalism isn't a problem, and he doesn't understand capitalism at all. And they comment exactly the type of idea I was trying to communicate in the video. So this is just an example of how if you frame something a certain way, it's going to influence how people view the actual thing. And I'm trying to think of other examples here. Okay, I just thought of something. Another example, I could say, I voted for Kamala Harris. Instantly, someone's going to paint a picture of who I am in their mind. If this guy voted for Kamala Harris, he probably has a bunch of friends with blue hair who are they, thems, who want to kill babies, who support genocide, yada, yada, yada. Like, they will create these stories in their head off of one piece of information and what beliefs they have around that piece of information. And they will basically bias themselves into thinking a certain way about something that maybe doesn't represent that person or that piece of content or anything accurately at all. So people can only see what they want to see or hear what they want to hear, but also can only see and hear things to the level in which they understand them. And the last one is a big hitter, but something I've kind of repeated a lot. You will never be permanently satisfied. I have this little saying that I've tweeted before, which is, I am satisfied with the fact that I will never be satisfied, and therefore I am always satisfied. You can pause the video there, take a moment to think about that phrase. Don't think too deeply though, because logically it doesn't really make sense. If you're satisfied with never being satisfied, you'd have to define satisfaction differently in order for that to logically make sense. What I mean by that statement is, I have accepted dissatisfaction and dissatisfaction as a state that I will always experience from time to time. And the acceptance of the dissatisfaction is in itself a state of satisfaction. When you realize you're always going to have problems, when life is really just an exchanging of worse problems for better ones, and that you're always going to feel a little bit of an urge, this human desire, this very inherent human desire to do something. And you probably won't always be super satisfied with how you do that something. And then you're going to realize you want something else. And that cycle of life continues forever. No matter what level you're at, you're going to desire something, and you're going to want to chase after something, and you're going to want to get better at something. And that means you're probably not going to be too good at it at the start, and you're going to be dissatisfied with that. And then when you do get good at it, it feels good for a while. And when you finally reach the state in which you thought, I'll be permanently satisfied here, you realize, oh, I actually want a bit more, or I want this thing now. Once you just accept that that's fucking life and you'll never be fully satisfied, man, it is so freeing, because I don't care that I'm not where I want to be in this thing. I don't care that I'm not perfect. I don't care that getting 1 million subscribers on YouTube won't actually permanently satisfy me. And I know that some days my relationship's not going to be the best. When you realize that is what being human is, such a big part of it, it's fine, bro. Like, go ahead and desire things. Go ahead and chase things. Just be satisfied with the fact that you're never going to be satisfied. And you will always feel this state of acceptance and peace and satisfaction. I hope to expose more life advice and wisdom through the writing in my novel. I'm writing a novel right now about a 20-something-year-old anxious boy who goes through this really tragic loss, who, through that loss, develops the ability to see into a parallel reality. And in that reality, he's going to try to find the thing he lost. It's a blend of realism, sci-fi, psychological thriller. If you liked this video, you're going to like the novel. And if you want to get updates on the novel as I'm writing it, you can subscribe to my newsletter, which is linked in the description. If you want to go deeper into these sort of talks with other people, if you wish, like, you could talk to me and other people who are interested in philosophy and self-development, stuff like that, you can join my self-mastery school, where we meet in a video call every weekend and discuss stuff like this. If you want to check that out, link in the description as well. And that is finally it.